Hello. I want to talk about the most common question that I get from new students or parents of new students that are looking to learn guitar with me. The number one question I get asked all the time is, what guitar should I buy? For my students, once people are my student, I will help them pick out a guitar and send them links to stuff. So if that's something you're interested in, please, let's talk about lessons. But for general guidance, this is very important. We have to talk about whether you're going to get an acoustic or an electric. I have a preference for learning on electric, but we're going to talk about the pros and cons of each and what to look for if you're getting either one. Either one are fine, but we'll talk about what to get and what to look for and what to definitely try to avoid. So generally the first question I ask is, what kind of music do you listen to? If you listen to a lot of heavy rock, we're going to steer into the electric. If you listen to pop, country, folk, bluegrass, blues, stuff like that, I'll steer you towards an acoustic guitar. The most important thing that we're looking for in a guitar is one that fits. It needs to fit the student, whether it's you or a child. So the way we tell if something fits is, I've got a guitar here, and this is called the waist of the guitar, right? It's the waist. Kind of looks like our waist. Maybe not my waist, maybe not your waist, but some waists look like this. And I'm going to put this on my right leg. I'm going to put this waist on my right leg, and I'm going to push the guitar out just a little bit, tilt it back so I can kind of see the strings. And I'm going to put this part of my arm on this part of the guitar. Just kind of rest it right there, and I should be able to hold it without my left hand. So I should be able to rest here comfortably. This should not be a problem. If the guitar is falling back this way or the guitar is falling forward, it's the wrong size. It's the wrong size. Another way to tell is to put your thumb back behind the guitar up here and put your fingers on top of the strings, and your arm should make about a 90-degree angle right here. If you're reaching out, it's too big. If you're reaching too far in, maybe too small. So that's how you tell the size. That helps a lot. So generally people want, if they don't have a guitar to try, my students, they come in here, they can try a bunch of different guitars, we can size them. But if they're looking, my kid is 8 or 9 or 10, or, I'm 60, what should I get? So generally on an acoustic guitar, if you're a small 10, if you're 10 years old and you're on the small side, maybe small side of 11, an acoustic, you're looking for a 3/4 size guitar. They do make half-size guitars, but those are generally too small for the ages that I teach. I generally don't teach. 7.5 is kind of like the earliest I get. So 7.5, a 3/4 size guitar, a small 7.5, if they're a very small 7.5-year-old child, maybe a half size. We'd have to take a look at that. But generally, unless you're around 12, you're kind of looking at a 3/4 size guitar. If you're a big 10 or a big 11, maybe you can start going into a full size. So on acoustic, look for something with nylon strings. Do not get a steel string guitar to learn to play on. It's too hard in your hands. The strings are thin. There's a lot of tension. It's hard to press down. You'll be very frustrated and uncomfortable. Guitar is challenging enough to learn, so let's try to minimize that experience and set you up for success. And get you to progress quickly. I find that when students come in with a steel string guitar, we spend a lot of time just working on finger strength. A lot of time working on finger strength. I have a couple of things I can do to test finger strength. Like, I have very strong magnets that are plates, and if a kid can't separate those magnets with their fingers, they don't have enough finger strength to play a steel string. So you're looking for a nylon string guitar, 3/4 size for a young person, and a regular size once you hit about like 12 or so, or maybe a big 10 or 11. Now, for nylon string guitars, there are classical guitars which are nylon string guitars, and they have nylon strings which are not classical guitars. So be aware when you look at that. You're really looking for a nylon string guitar that's not a classical guitar. A classical guitar, or maybe not, depends on what you're into. A classical guitar will have a very wide, it'll be very wide up here. So it'll be around like 2 inches versus this one is about like 1.8 inches. And it makes a big difference when you have to stretch your fingers across the fretboard. Okay. So that's acoustics. One thing I'm just going to say again, do not buy a jumbo or a dreadnought size steel string acoustic. Just stay away from that. You'll see them all over the place on Marketplace. People are getting rid of them left and right. They'll be all over in the store. People, they're just uncomfortable. They're big. They're loud. They're hard to play. Do not buy those. Unless you're already a player, do not buy those. If you're learning to play, like yes, maybe your favorite musician plays one, but you don't want what your favorite musician plays today. You want what your favorite musician learned on. And they did not learn on a jumbo or dreadnought size guitar, really big guitar. You can tell because you'll pick it up and it'll be like huge. It'll be like, whoa, and it'll be heavy and it'll be big and your arm will be out here. It's just stay away from that. Every once in a while I get a student show up with a dreadnought or jumbo for their first lesson. And I'm like, great, you now are gonna own 2 guitars because you're not gonna be able, within a couple of weeks they're like, man, I can't play this. I was like, I know, yeah. So nylon, this is a concert size. Most of the guitars I have, even the steel string guitars I have, they're concert size. They're a little bit smaller, they're easier, they sound better. This is nylon, sounds gorgeous. So going over to the electric. So that's the acoustic. Now we're gonna talk about the electric side. Very popular option. It's actually my favorite for people to learn on. It's a little bit more expensive to start though. An electric you're looking at to start, you're looking around $200 just for the guitar. Then you have to buy an amp and a cable and a bag and a tuner and all that stuff. We'll talk about those in a separate video, all those things you need to get. But 2 things to look out for. One is there's a 3/4 size, which like for example, Squier makes a Squier Mini, very popular for smaller students. Same kind of things apply. Put your thumb back here, 90-degree angle, or you're reaching out, it's too big, get a Mini. Really only 2 sizes there. There's the Mini, and then there's the regular size guitar. That's really kind of all you're looking for. Can you put your arm, can you hold it comfortably? Is it wobbly all over the place? I know there's some weirdness when you're holding something new for the first time and it's weirdly shaped, right? These are very weirdly shaped instruments. But that's kind of what you're looking for there. Something, you've either got the Mini or regular. There's Squier. Also, I'm not sponsored by Squier or Fender. Reach out to me if you want me to. There's also the Squier Sonic series, which is very good. Both are around, they're just under $200 for just the guitar. The Squier Mini has what's called a fixed bridge. So this is a bridge down here. This is where the strings attach to the body of the instrument. So the Squier Mini has what's called a fixed bridge, which means the bridge does not move at all. Does not move at all. Some electric guitars have what's called a floating bridge, or they call it a tremolo. Sometimes people call it a vibrato system. Very confusing. Basically, 3 terms for the same thing, which is there's a bridge that moves. There's springs on the backside of it that counteract the tension of the strings to keep the bridge in place. And it's so, and you'll see in pictures, you'll see this metal bar sticking out, and you can grab that bar and you can move it up and down, and it makes the guitar make this sound that goes wah, wah, wah. And it's kind of cool, right? And it's kind of fun to play with, but it's a pain for learning because you have to learn how to tune your guitar, and that floating bridge system makes it more challenging to tune your guitar. It's just another thing getting in the way. Again, this instrument's challenging enough as it is. Let's try to simplify it and take out all the complex parts that you don't need. Let's focus on learning how to play your instrument, not fighting its weirdness. So the Squier Sonic, they do make some that have a floating bridge or tremolo vibrato. You might see that term. but they make some that have a fixed bridge. You want the fixed bridge. It should not have a bar attached to it. It just makes it easier to play, easier to tune, all sorts of things like that. So those are the two things to look for when you're looking for an electric. It's got to be the size and keep a fixed bridge. Keep a fixed bridge. If you have any questions about any of this, please reach out. I love helping people learn guitar, and and enjoy the practice. Learning to play guitar is super fun, and I love it. All right, and see you in the next video. Bye-bye.